And when
And then
people
turn
get
it
all
down.
pent up, or a partner says to the other partner,
For nearly 2 decades, millions of people welcomed Rachel Ray into their homes almost every single day. She was not just a cooking host. She felt familiar. She felt warm. She felt like someone you could trust. Her smile was steady. Her energy was constant. Her recipes were simple and easy to follow. From 30-minute meals to her long-running daytime program, she built a career that seemed almost unshakable. But behind the bright studio lights and cheerful kitchen sets, real life was happening. And real life does not pause for television. Before fame, Rachel grew up in Lake George, New York. Her family life was strongly influenced by her mother's Italian heritage. Food was not just something you ate. It was how the family connected. Meals meant stories. Meals meant comfort. Meals meant love. As a young adult, Rachel worked regular jobs. She ran a candy counter at Macy's. She managed restaurants. She worked in grocery and retail food spaces. Nothing about her early career suggested celebrity status. She was simply someone who understood food and understood people. Her big turning point came when she started teaching customers how to prepare quick meals using simple ingredients. The idea was not fancy. It was practical. She showed people how to cook full dinners in 30 minutes or less. That idea caught attention. Soon, Food Network gave her a chance to bring that concept to national television. And just like that, her life began to change. What started as small grocery demonstrations became a television career that would last more than 20 years. Around the same time her career was rising, something important happened in her personal life. In 2001, she attended a party in New York City where she met John Cusimano. He was not a television personality. He was a lawyer who had graduated from Benjamin N. Cardozo School of Law. He was also a musician and the lead singer of the New York rock band, The Cringe. Their first conversation was simple. They talked about food. They talked about music. They talked about opera. Rachel later said she felt something different that night. It did not feel forced. It did not feel planned. It felt natural. They started dating soon after. As her career continued to grow, their relationship grew stronger too. In 2005, they married in Tuscany, Italy. The wedding was small and personal, filled with close family and friends. Tuscany represented their shared love for food, culture, and tradition. Over the years, John remained mostly out of the spotlight. He attended events with her, but he did not try to become part of her television brand. He had his own identity. He continued his music. He continued his professional work. Their marriage appeared steady. But public life always brings pressure. As Rachel became more famous, tabloids began writing stories about her personal life. Some rumors questioned her marriage. There were claims and accusations published in magazines and online articles. None of these rumors were proven true, but that did not stop them from spreading. Being married to someone famous can change your life overnight. John had once lived privately. Now his name appeared in headlines. Through it all, they stayed together. They did not publicly fight in interviews. They did not feed the drama. They continued showing up side by side at events. Then came moments that tested them in ways no headline ever could. In August 2020, their home in Lake Luzerne, New York, caught fire. The flames spread quickly through the house. By the time firefighters finished, the home was destroyed. This was not just property loss. Inside that house were decades of memories. Rachel had kept notebooks for nearly 40 years, handwritten recipes, personal notes, drawings, letters, photographs. All of it turned to ash in one night. She later said she felt like she had lost the physical evidence that she and John had existed in that space. They survived the fire. No one was injured. But losing a home is more than losing walls. It is losing the space where your life happened. While they were still recovering from that shock, disaster struck again. In September 2021, Hurricane Ida caused severe flooding in New York City. Their apartment was heavily damaged by water. Floors, ceilings, furniture, much of it ruined. It felt like starting over for the second time in less than 2 years. Imagine rebuilding your life once, only to have to do it again. Through both disasters, John stayed calm and steady. Rachel later spoke about how he helped manage the chaos, the paperwork, the rebuilding plans. Sometimes love doesn't look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like someone quietly handling insurance calls while you try to process loss. While personal disasters were happening, her professional life also faced challenges. Over the years, critics questioned whether she was a trained chef. Some argued she was more of a television personality than a culinary expert. Even respected chef Anthony Bourdain once publicly stated that she was not a chef, but a businesswoman. His comments spread widely and were repeated often in discussions about her credibility. Rachel rarely responded with anger. She continued doing what she had always done, cooking simple meals for everyday people. She expanded her brand into cookware, magazines, and pet food. One of her biggest ventures was Nutrish, a pet food brand inspired by meals she prepared for her own dog. The brand became successful, but later faced a lawsuit claiming that products labeled as natural contained traces of glyphosate, a chemical herbicide. The case gained attention and raised concerns among consumers. Although the brand continued operating, the controversy added pressure. Fame brings opportunities, but it also brings constant scrutiny. By 2023, after 17 seasons, The Rachel Ray Show came to an end. The decision was hers. She explained that she wanted to move into a new chapter of her career. Hosting a daily show required long hours and constant energy. She wanted more flexibility. She launched Free Food Studios, focusing more on production and creative control behind the scenes. For viewers, the end of the show felt emotional. For nearly 2 decades, she had been part of their routine. But for John, it meant something deeper. He had lived through every season of that show. He had seen the long nights and early mornings. He had seen the stress after disasters. He had watched her push through criticism and rebuild after loss. When he shared his goodbye message, it was not dramatic or theatrical. It was honest. He spoke about how proud he was of her. He talked about watching her grow from small television segments to a national presence. He acknowledged the crew, the audience, and the years of shared work. But underneath his words was something simple: gratitude. Gratitude for the journey. Gratitude for the time. Gratitude for the life they built together. Sometimes, the most emotional goodbyes are not loud. They are quiet. They come from years of shared experience. And as one chapter closed, what remained was not just a career legacy, but a partnership that had survived rumors, disasters, criticism, and change. While the end of The Rachel Ray Show marked a professional turning point, it was not the only change happening in Rachel Ray's life. After stepping away from daily television, people began noticing something different. In 2024, short clips from her series filmed in Italy started circulating online. Viewers who had not seen her in a while began commenting on her appearance. Some said she looked thinner. Others said her face seemed different. A few noticed that her speech sounded slower at times. Social media quickly filled with speculation. Some people wondered if she had suffered a stroke. Others guessed about serious illnesses. A few suggested cosmetic procedures. When someone has been on television for nearly 20 years, even small changes feel big to an audience. The truth, however, was much simpler. After months of growing rumors, Rachel addressed the concern during a public appearance. She explained that she had experienced several serious falls over a period of time. Those falls caused injuries that required recovery. She spoke calmly about healing, about stress, and about how life had been physically demanding in recent years. She made it clear that she was not facing a life-threatening illness. But the speculation revealed something important about fame. When someone has been part of people's daily routine for years, viewers feel connected. And when that person changes, even naturally, people react strongly. For John Cusimano, watching these rumors grow must have felt familiar. It was another example of how public life works. Small moments become big stories. Ordinary health challenges turn into dramatic headlines. Through it all, he remained quiet and supportive, never feeding the speculation. Instead, the couple continued spending time between New York and Tuscany, focusing on projects that felt meaningful, rather than constant television exposure. Stepping away from daily hosting allowed Rachel to slow down in ways she never had before. For 17 years, her schedule had been structured around filming calendars, production meetings, guest bookings, recipe testing, travel, appearances, promotion. The rhythm of her life had been shaped by cameras and deadlines. When that stopped, the silence must have felt strange at first. Many people who leave long-term careers describe a feeling of both relief and uncertainty. Relief, because the pressure is gone. Uncertainty, because the routine disappears. For Rachel, this transition was not about retirement. It was about control. Through her company, Free Food Studios, she began working behind the scenes, helping create content rather than appearing in front of the camera every day. This shift allowed her to stay creative without sacrificing personal time, and personal time had become more valuable than ever. After losing a home to fire and an apartment to flooding, physical spaces no longer felt permanent. What mattered more was stability within relationships. What mattered was health. What mattered was peace. Tuscany became more than just a romantic wedding location from 2005. It became a place of grounding, a place where meals were slower, where cameras were fewer, where life felt less rushed. John, who had always balanced his own work as a lawyer and musician with his wife's fame, now shared a life that felt less defined by television seasons. Their marriage, tested by rumors and public pressure, had quietly passed through another major shift. The end, a long chapter. Looking back, it becomes clear that the strength of their relationship was not built in grand gestures. It was built in steady presence. In 2001, when they first met at a party, neither of them could have predicted the scale of what was coming. Rachel's career would expand far beyond food segments. She would publish cookbooks, launch product lines, and become one of the most recognizable faces in daytime television. John would go from private professional life to being publicly known as her husband. Fame changes identity. It changes how people see you. It changes how strangers talk about you. But through those changes, certain things remained constant. They chose not to have children, a decision Rachel spoke about openly. Instead, they focused on their shared interests: cooking, travel, music, their pets, and their philanthropic efforts like Yummo, her organization supporting healthy food education for children. Every couple defines family differently. For them, partnership itself was central. When the house fire destroyed decades of physical memories, what survived was their connection. When Hurricane Ida damaged their apartment, what survived was their teamwork. When rumors spread online, what survived was their unity. These moments may not look dramatic on television, but in real life, they are powerful. As the public reflected on the end of her show, many viewers shared personal stories online. Some said they learned to cook because of her simple recipes. Others said they watched her program during difficult times in their lives, after school, during illness, while caring for family members. Daytime television often becomes background comfort. It fills quiet rooms. For 17 years, Rachel had been part of that routine. Ending the show meant ending a shared habit for millions of households. But for John, it meant something even more personal. He had seen the unseen parts. The mornings when energy was low, but filming still had to happen. The stress when ratings fluctuated. The exhaustion after promotional tours. the private disappointment when criticism felt unfair. He had also seen the joy, the pride after award wins, the excitement of new projects, the gratitude from fans. When he described his feelings at the end of the show, he did not focus on fame. He focused on effort. He spoke about how hard she worked, how consistent she remained, how she showed up day after day. 17 seasons is not an accident. It requires discipline. It requires resilience. And resilience is often invisible to audiences. Another important layer to this story is how time changes perspective. In the early years of her career, everything was about growth. More viewers, more opportunities, more projects. Expansion felt exciting. But as years pass, priorities shift. After experiencing 2 natural disasters, public rumors, lawsuits involving business ventures, and health recovery from injuries, success begins to look different. It is no longer only about ratings or product sales. It becomes about sustainability, about choosing projects carefully, about protecting peace. John's goodbye message carried this sense of maturity. It was not dramatic because drama was not needed. It was reflective. It acknowledged the scale of what had been accomplished without exaggeration. He understood that the end of a show does not erase the journey. It simply changes direction. Many fans expected a grand emotional speech. Instead, they received something steady and sincere. And sometimes, sincerity carries more emotional weight than spectacle. Public life often creates a strange illusion. Viewers see the finished product, the polished episode, the smiling host, the quick recipes. They do not see the rehearsals, the retakes, the fatigue. They do not see the personal losses happening off camera. They do not see the quiet support happening in kitchens without lights or microphones. In many ways, John represented that unseen world. He was present, but rarely central, supportive, but not attention-seeking. His identity was often reduced to Rachael Ray's husband, even though he had his own career and passions. Balancing that dynamic requires humility and confidence. Not everyone can handle standing beside a famous partner without feeling overshadowed. His steady presence suggests a partnership built on mutual respect rather than competition. When he spoke at the end of the show, he was not speaking as a celebrity. He was speaking as a husband who had walked through nearly 20 years of transformation. As part 2 closes, one theme becomes clear. The emotional weight of this story does not come from scandal or shock. It comes from endurance, from rebuilding after loss, from choosing partnership over pride, from adapting to change instead of resisting it. Fame brought opportunities, but it also brought pressure. Disasters destroyed property, but not connection. Criticism questioned credibility, but not commitment. And when a 17-year chapter closed, the goodbye felt meaningful, not because something tragic happened, but because something lasting had ended. In the next part, we will go even deeper into what his farewell truly symbolized, not just for a television audience, but for a marriage that survived the unpredictable storms of public life. As the final season of The Rachael Ray Show came to an end, the atmosphere felt different. There was no scandal forcing it off the air. There was no dramatic collapse. Instead, there was a quiet understanding that a long chapter had reached its natural conclusion. For 17 years, the show had followed a rhythm. Lights on, cameras ready, recipes prepared, guests waiting backstage, applause, smiles, wrap, repeat. That rhythm shaped daily life not only for viewers, but for Rachael Ray and her husband, John Cusimano. When something lasts that long, it becomes more than work. It becomes routine. It becomes identity. Ending it is not just a business decision, it is emotional. In his goodbye message, John did not use dramatic words. He did not try to turn the moment into a spectacle. Instead, he reflected on time. 17 years is a long time in any career. It's long enough for seasons of life to change. When the show began in 2006, the world looked different. Social media was smaller. Streaming platforms were not dominant. Daytime television still held a powerful place in daily routine. Over the years, the industry changed. Audiences changed. Technology changed. But Rachel kept showing up. That consistency became her strength. John's message focused on that consistency. He spoke about watching her grow, watching her evolve, watching her push forward, even when life outside the studio felt heavy. And life outside the studio had indeed been heavy at times. The house fire in 2020 was not just a loss of property. It was a loss of history. Imagine opening a notebook that holds recipes written decades ago, only to realize it no longer exists. Imagine losing photographs that captured early memories, losing small personal objects that carried emotional meaning. When those things disappear, grief is not loud. It is quiet and personal. Then came the flooding from Hurricane Ida. Once again, rebuilding became necessary. Many couples struggle under repeated stress. Rebuilding once is difficult. Rebuilding twice in 2 years can feel overwhelming. Yet they rebuilt. Together. Public rumors about their marriage added another layer of strain. Being married in the public eye means strangers often believe they understand your relationship. Tabloid headlines suggested problems. Social media speculation spread quickly. Yet there was never public fighting between them. There were no explosive interviews attacking each other. Instead, there was steady presence. Appearances together. Support shown quietly. In many ways, their marriage survived not because it was perfect, but because it was grounded. Fame can shake relationships that are built on attention. It is harder to shake relationships built on shared values and patience. When critics questioned Rachel's professional credibility, including comments from figures like Anthony Bourdain, she did not disappear. She continued cooking simple meals for everyday families. She never claimed to be a fine dining expert. Her brand was accessibility. Her message was that cooking does not need to be complicated to be meaningful. John witnessed the criticism. He witnessed the resilience. That perspective likely shaped the emotional tone of his goodbye. Pride does not come only from success. It comes from endurance. There is something deeply human about watching someone you love build something over many years. When John met Rachel in 2001, she was rising, but not yet at the peak of her fame. He saw the climb from near the beginning. He saw the early television segments. He saw the expansion into cookbooks and product lines. He saw the launch of pet food, the lawsuits that followed, the criticism, the awards, the long filming days. He saw her tired. He saw her excited. He saw her disappointed. He saw her determined. That long view gives goodbye messages more weight. It is not just about the final episode. It is about everything that came before it.